Today is World AIDS Day, and 30 years after the first cases were documented, this ad you see right here says it all: AIDS is going to lose. So much exciting is happening in the battle against this epidemic. Deaths are down, a cure is in sight, better drugs are saving lives, and superstars Bono and Alicia Keys are taking that message to Washington today, hosting a panel where Presidents Obama, Clinton, and Bush will all speak, and I sat down with them to discuss the hope they see. It's a crisis that's plagued the world for a generation. And they've been on the front lines in a battle that's now being won.
Normally, we're on your program and we're banging on about what feels like a hopeless situation. Today is different. This is really, it's so hopeful.
Hopeful thanks to rapid successes in the global fight against AIDS and HIV in just the last 10 years. In 2002, 300,000 people were on life-saving antiretroviral treatments. In 2010, that number skyrocketed to more than 6.5 million. And technology has made it possible to prevent the transmission of HIV from mother to child.
If you use treatment as prevention, if you are able to be treated, then 96% of the time you will not spread the virus. It's a tremendous breakthrough.
Normally, for every one person that was treated, 2 were infected. But now, by getting these antiretroviral drugs to people early, also getting the drugs to pregnant women, they can slash the infection rate to under 1 person for every 1 person that's being treated.
That's a lot of progress since I joined Bono in Africa back in 2002. Then the rock star joined forces with buttoned-up former Treasury Secretary Paul O'Neill to bring attention to Africa's plight.
You remember that, George, we were together in Africa, and it's the look in the eyes I'll never forget, because it's the strangest look when you see somebody diagnosed HIV and there's no treatment. And you'd think it'd be anger, but it's just not. It's just acquiescence.
And bewilderment.
It's heartbreaking, and then the medical staff would be angry because they knew it was just an accident of geography.
Thanks to the efforts of organizations like Bono's Red and One campaigns and Alicia Keys' Keep a Child Alive, AIDS is no longer a death sentence for Africa's poor. But there's plenty of work to be done. You're going to Washington today at a time when, boy, the parties are so divided. It's about as sour an environment as you've ever seen. But on this issue, it's a perfect example, Democrats and Republicans coming together to solve a problem.
This is a circumstance that no matter who you are, we can all agree that we want an AIDS-free generation.
Yeah, it's crossing political lines, and at a time when the scene here is a little noxious. That's very important. As you go into this next election, don't allow the world's poor to be a political football. So when a candidate goes in that direction, punish them.
And the U.S. debt crisis makes keeping that commitment tougher than ever.
There are people begging for cuts, and we know why, and we understand. And it's very important to communicate that it is a tiny, tiny percentage of government spending, less than 1%, that all these development stuff comes out of.
All foreign aid, not just for
all
AIDS.
Foreign aid, at less than 1%, but cuts can't cost lives.
And there is so much turmoil and there is so much difficulty and hard times. It would be a disaster of disasters to allow that to be a distraction to the fact that we could actually invest in our future and create the possibility that there would not be AIDS anymore.
People know you can live with HIV, live a normal life if you're taking the drugs. A kind of complacency, a feeling that this already has been solved. How do you fight that?
It has not been solved. It's a big problem around the world. I think that when we disassociate ourselves with it and think, oh, that's the problem over there, to them, that's when you're in a big, 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 big trouble.
Keys has a new documentary airing tonight on Showtime. She took 5 Americans to South Africa to see the casualties of the AIDS pandemic firsthand.
It's kind of hard, huh?
Not really.
Not really.
But both Keys and Bono have one big message today.
America has put 5 million people on these drugs. I'm not sure people know that. We're on your program to thank you. This is probably the greatest act of courage in my view, since the Second World War.
What's the one thing someone sitting at home watching this morning, sitting in their kitchen, what's the one thing they can do to move this along?
We have to own the fact that we absolutely are the ones that push forward our governments, you know, and we are the ones that, when they hear our voices, that we are discouraged about something, that we don't like the way this is going, they must change it.
Thank you both very much.
Thank you, George.
A lot of hope out there, something to be encouraged about. We have a lot more information on our website, goodmorningamerica.com, on Yahoo.